On Sunday, oh boy, stretch out a bit. We went to I believe it was a non-denominational church, and I've only been to a handful of churches in my entire life, but this particular occasion was something I'd never seen before or even heard before. I'm not saying it hasn't been done before, I'm sure it has, but they brought on a gentleman who spoke about feelings and emotions and how imperative they are to a warm heart, and how when we don't, allow our emotions out, when we repress our emotions, when we don't speak on them or act on them, how we're actually hardening our heart. And he talked about Jesus, and he talked about how Jesus was a very emotional, very needy human being. And he also talked about how everybody who comes on the stage at the church, they too are very emotional. They too are very needy. They too have desires, and he went into, Adam and Eve, and how, Adam, God saw Adam walking around, and he was lonely. He needed someone. He needed a helper. He needed a companion in his walk, and the same is true, I think, for every single human being on the planet. I think we all need somebody. I think we all have a longing to be with someone, and not in just a, superficial, lustful sense, although that desire is there too. But I think the greater desire, the more godlike desire, the more loving desire, the good desire, is to find someone that you want to, that you even need to help, share your life with and be complete with, and to be able to speak with on a very intimate and vulnerable level. Someone who's going to want to listen to your emotions and cares about what's going on inside your heart. And, for me, like, he got really emotional, and he was talking about how, even when he feels lonely, because he has a wife and stuff, he feels lonely, but that's not his wife's fault. He's just expressing how he feels, and it's important for the wife, or the husband or whomever, not so much to take that as a slight towards them, but to just acknowledge in their heart, or to hear and to acknowledge in themselves that their companion is in a lonely state. And it's nothing, again, it isn't so much as like, oh, you're not doing it enough. A lot of it has to do with just the emotional desire they have within themselves, and there's also a desire for, your wife, and then there's also a desire to be closer to God. And I think that loneliness, that void, can manifest in multiple different ways and for different reasons. And so if you're not walking like Jesus, then I think that it has to be, there's a reason, there's going to be a longing in your heart to be more like Jesus, because that desire, that emotion, that need is there to help plant a good seed if you tend to it in a good manner. Or, a lot of times people in the worlds and the times that we're living in, they'll fill that void up with badness and create bad seeds. And this is where bad fruit and bad energies and toxic emotions can manifest out of, because people are filling the hole or the void that could be used for good and for love with evilness and wickedness and toxicity. And you have to be careful with that, because that desire there, it can go both ways, but it's all about what you want to perpetuate. Do you want to perpetuate that good fruit, or do you want to perpetuate a sour fruit? But to hear this guy talk about, these emotions and stuff, to me, I thought it was really good. Because one thing that, Joshua, pops, and I still think he's God, at least I think he is the most highly incarnated aspect of the male, um, of the male here on earth. There's nobody else whom I see has a Heavenly Father presence like Pops does. And Dustin, I've told him about this a few times, and he thinks that I'm wrong, and that's fine, man. I've gotten very used to people trying to convince me that Pops is not Pops. And at the end of the day, you got to do with what your heart tells you and what your gut tells you. And that's every time I think about it with some real intense fucking feeling. And I try to take out my own opinions and really just resonate with what my heart feels in the time that I've spent with him. I keep getting that he is God. He is that most highly incarnated man in the flesh, here to help guide humanity towards the kingdom of heaven. And also, not just that, but to also deal with the forces that are rebellious and disobedient. And, Dustin talks a lot about illegitimate children and how, like, if y'all don't have Jesus in your heart, if y'all don't have good works, to show for what you've done with your time here, you are, in a sense, illegitimate children of God. And, the exact consequences of that are, I mean, you can go into burning in a lake of fire. I don't know if that's exactly what happens. You could just reincarnate as something that doesn't have, quite because being a human being is quite an opportunity. It's quite a gift. We can create our own heaven, our own hell. We have a lot of free will and choice. And I'm not so sure that other animals, not just mammals, but, serpents, insects, I don't know if they have the same type of free choice. Based on the way that they're formed and, their environment and what they need to survive, it seems like they're much more limited in a lot of ways. So part of me feels like, if you are an illegitimate child of God, then in a sense you would be, it can make good sense that you would be reincarnated not in the same creature that is born in the image and likeness of God, but perhaps born into another creature that doesn't have a likeness or image like God, that is not able to create, that does not have the same type of free will. And these are very serious consequences that I think a lot of people don't truly appreciate. And I almost said I'm afraid, but I'm more saddened that I see so many human beings running around following these fucking doctrines that are not good for them or themselves or everybody around them. And I don't think a lot of them know that there is consequences to your actions. There's a cause and effect to everything that you do. So the more ignorant you are, the more neglectful you are, the more you decide not to see the signs, because we're all given signs. We're all given signs. We're all given people in our life to help, us when we get to these crossroads of good and evil, and a lot of people I see are choosing not to really, not everybody, but there's a lot of human beings that I feel are, they're not so much choosing evil as much, but when you're neglectful towards the good in the world and the love and the good messages and Jesus Christ and the word that has come to you, and you choose not to truly embrace that, in a sense, you're allowing evil in, and you're choosing to not be a part of and participate in the duty you have as something that was created in the image and likeness of God. So that has its own reverberation, that has its own repercussions. And it's sad because I do feel like a lot of humanity is under that type of a spell. And it's also a spell that I think has been orchestrated and perpetuated and literally designed to keep people doing exactly that. And if they just knew, if they just had more of an awareness to the fact that they're playing into this fucking trap that's been set for them, maybe more of them will wake up, but it hurts me to see so many people running around and acting like they know fucking everything and being all prideful about who they are when they the fuck were created by something completely different. They did not create themselves. They did not create this earth. They did not create the cosmos. They do not create the food that they eat every day. They do not create the jobs that they go to. None of that shit. But the arrogance and the ego that stems from them is so strong, it keeps them from connecting back to their Jesus-like or their God-like selves. And that is a form of wickedness. And that is also the force here on this planet that is perpetuating this evil society. And the devil has done a real good job in convincing people that he doesn't exist. And he's put a lot of things that allure people in and adhere to their lower senses and their lower vibrational desires. And, people have been running with it for some time now. And we're at a point in humanity's history to where things like this sickness and other things have had to perpetuate the way that they have, because humanity has become such a cancer cell to themselves and the planet. So there's really two options here, man. Either we get to a point to where we're going to have to be wiped out or enslaved, or we're going to have to learn the lesson. Okay? And I think it's pretty clear that this free market society and this chase for money is perpetuating this evilness. So again, simplicity is best, the path of least resistance, the path that allows creation to be able to create as well as it can be is the solution. And when we sell our souls and when we work jobs that we don't want to work, that are perpetuating more sickness into the world, this is not helping creation. Okay? Doing things like planting good herbs, planting good foods, building good eco-friendly houses, developing new independent infrastructures and ways to harness and utilize technology and electricity, these are good things. But we need to get away from having money be our guide, because that is in itself breeding an inherent love for money to different levels for everybody else, but it still is there. And people have become dependent and obsessed with the need that they feel they have for money. When, again, going back to the good book, none of these animals that you see all around you every single day, no matter where you are, whether it's in the desert, they got insects, they got birds, or you're out here in the Florida Everglades or wherever you are, they don't want for money. They're not for, worrying about where they're going to get their next meal. They have an inherent faith that they will be taken care of. And I think a lot of that is because that they know that they are living in alignment to the best that they can with who they are and what they are created to be. But this is the problem with humanity, is we're not living in alignment with the way that we're created. We've been manipulated, but we're allowing that manipulation because we keep perpetuating a society that is manipulating the earth and the rest of the rest of the animals and humanity. And in a sense, we are being manipulated. And I could go into the specifics of a lot of the things that they're trying to propose to us to help out with these things, and I think those are just more ways of manipulation. When all you need is a healthy immune system and love in your heart and the word and righteous deeds and good works, and you're good. And with that goodness, you can go and, you're going to have a good feeling you carry around with you everywhere. You're going to have a glow. You're going to have a creative flow. You're going to have a wealth and security that money can never buy you. This is another sad thing that I see with these rich people. I can look into their souls and see how, it's like they feel protected and secured and comforted by all these cars and all these houses and all these things that they have, but it's all external. Internally, they look broken. They look beat. They look miserable. And it's like, I'm going to do what I can to help transmutate themselves and thus the rest of the world by letting them know that there is a different way to live. That the more you hold on to these things that you say you own, the more, the less godlike you're going to be, the less love you're going to have in your heart, and the heavier your soul is going to be, and the harder it's going to be to let go of these things that you think are yours when you didn't create shit. And you acquired all these things from exploitative means and a perpetuation of a society that is literally destroying the earth and humanity. So there's a spiritual inheritance that comes with these type of activities. And, again, man, like, it's like a test. You only have, this is not going to go on forever. We're in some serious times and things are changing at a rapid pace. So in a sense, time is kind of running out for us to change and learn this lesson and not be wiped out and not be enslaved and to be victorious. But it takes us working together. It takes us networking. It takes us treating each other the way we're supposed to, as in the good book said, love your neighbors as you love me. So that means we need to get over fucking materialistic judgments and fucking, opinions and all this petty bullshit. And we need to start looking towards helping out those that really need help and the earth, and perpetuating an infrastructure that's actually good for humanity and everything. And it doesn't take much. It just takes us getting over people. But the biggest thing is going to be the money, I feel, because people are going to fucking use all these different angles to say, oh, well, you didn't work for this, you didn't work for that, you didn't. It's not about that. It's about developing a place for us to work on things that are good for us. Okay, you're still gonna have to work. There's no free. Nothing is free in life. So again, but you don't. It doesn't mean people have to work 8 hours every single day if they don't want to. If they just want to work for their food, if they just want to work for a small dwelling or for a small place for them to use some electricity and this and that, then that's fine. That's much better than them being on the streets or them having to work at McDonald's or them having to work at some sales corporate fucking office where they're doing shit that they don't really want to do and just for money. There's a completely different way. Nature provides everything that we need. All this comes from nature. But we have to detach. We have to get back to nature before nature decides to fucking have its way with us. And mercy only goes so far, man. You can't continue being merciful on somebody that's not learning the lesson, because then you're enabling evil to continue to exist and perpetuate. And that in itself is a sin. So there's going to be a time when we're going to be forced to change, or we're going to get relocated or recycled. That's how I'm feeling. I woke up today, just feeling this angst about, not even an angst, just like since I've spent a time away from YouTube, like it has helped clear my mind and get me back into like a real living with people, and just how good it is to be around good company, and how at the end of the day, that is the most high and true good currency. That's all I really want, is to be around good people and do good works. That's simple, man. That's life. That's beauty. That's love. That's something worth living for and dying for. But all this separation, all this detachment, all these walls and barriers and all these heavy and cold hearts, that ain't worth living for. Not to me. That's not what God wants us to be like. And when we come to terms, when we're honest with ourselves and we see that we live in a society that breeds that type of coldness, that type of hardness, what are we going to do about it? Are you just going to sit back and criticize it and make fun of it? Or are you going to actually do something to help change it? Because we all got love. We all got light. We all have the ability to shine and be like Jesus. And the good book has been around for a very long time. So there's no excuses anymore. So I just implore you guys, I encourage you guys, and I suggest you guys to be more like Jesus, to pick up the good book and read from it. You don't even got to start at the beginning. Just ask God for guidance. And, I just strum my thumb through pages until I feel like stopping on a page, and I read a particular passage, and that passage usually resonates with what I'm going through in my life. And I sit there and, if I have time, I meditate on it for a little bit and I continue on with my day. But can do that multiple times throughout your day, and you will find your life will start to change. Stop destroying yourself. Stop perpetuating a lifestyle that you know is not good for you and the love in your heart and those around you. Start taking care of the things like yourself, and you'll start being able to take care of your environment. But, we got to start acting, man. There's only so much that a few men can do. People with resources do have the ability to do a lot more. And again, I keep saying this. I've said this a few times, but it is true that I have laid out, a rough draft of ways that we can develop opportunities to help the needy and to transmutate this reality into something different. And those of you that have heard it, you guys are not ignorant anymore. You guys have heard that there is a solution. It doesn't have to be exactly like that, but you can take that and run with it in whatever way you resonates with your heart. But if you've heard these things and you have the means to do some of these things, and you're choosing to not do these things, that in itself is just going to weigh down your heart. It is what it is. I don't want it to be so, but it is what it is. And I'm saying this not I'm saying this with the intention that I know I'm going to continue on the project and I'm going to continue to professionalize it as much as I can and send it out to investors. But that's my duty to do. There's other people out there that have the means to help develop this thing, and they don't have to. I'm just saying that it's a very simple concept. It really is. We just got to get an area for people to work on growing vegetables and hemp, and open up a nonprofit business that sells food, that sells clothes, that sells medical tinctures, that has an independent and good and eco-friendly way to harness electricity, and allow some type, create some type of a work program. And again, Christians, I think and feel, are going to be leading the way in this. So there can be two sections, or there can be two different, I mean, yeah, I think sections isn't a bad idea. Or even just two, membership, like you have the Christians, and they follow the word and they do things by the word, and maybe they do have the area they live in, but you can also have another section that's alternative for people that just are about good works and following good ethics and good morals and a good honor system and love and whatever it means to them. Just people that don't want to live in this type of a society. Simple shit. It really isn't rocket science. But yeah, but again, I'm gonna get jumping on some work here to try to help, do what I can to perpetuate this different infrastructure. But I encourage all those that with the means and the heart to want to do something like that to just go ahead and do it, whatever it may be for you. I got to listen to the calling in my heart, just like we all got a calling in our heart that we need to listen to, and ask God for good guidance and how to go about sharing with the world. Because the more that we share the light within us, the lighter the world's going to be. And it's not just about talking about it, it's about actually doing something about it. So faith without works is dead. So I want to see, I want to, and I feel like God would like to very much see us more doing stuff and using our social media as ways to help connect with others so that we can do good work. Find out the people that are near you in your area, try to connect with them, work on community-based projects to help strengthen the community and those around and everything around you. The time for talk is done, I think. It's time we start acting on the things that we know are right and true and good, and stop just fucking criticizing that which we know isn't good. Because that ain't getting us anywhere. We already know all the fucking corrupt shit is there. It's been there for a minute now. It's time we act on it. And the enemy's laughing in our face, watching us fucking point fingers at each other and ourselves and beating ourselves up when we could be fucking doing something good about this. That's what they want us to do, is just pointing each other and arguing with each other and fighting with each other. And that's what a lot of people are doing. Or they're just speaking about the same things they've spoken about for years, which is the definition of insanity. So let's stop being insane, humanity, and let's fucking be sane. Let's be obedient to God. Let's work on our good connection to Jesus Christ and be like him and start loving each other as we would him. All right? I love you guys. Hope you have a good day. All right? Bye.